Woe to those who call evil good and good evil, who put darkness for light and light for darkness, who put bitter for sweet and sweet for bitter. From the Old Testament, book of Isaiah. A lot of strength in those old scriptures. The idea of the struggle between good and evil permeates every spiritual belief system, every spiritual path, including my own, from Asatru, from the Havamal, where you recognize evil, speak out against it, and give no truces to your enemies. The words of Har, the Allfather, spoken in Har's Hall. But what if we reach a point where every single facet of our culture is controlled by a power structure that has become, for all intents and purposes and by any reasonable definition, evil? Media, academia, the news, the radio, the television, social media, and most of all, people that would call themselves our leaders. What would happen if we reached a point where, by any reasonable definition, any objective observation, the people that controlled every facet of the culture had become evil? Well, in keeping with this proverb, where you recognize evil, speak out against it, and give no truces to your enemies, you guys remember this gentleman here, Matt Taibbi, award-winning journalist. One of my personal favorites, in fact. I am subscribed to Taibbi on Substack. You guys remember a couple of weeks back, we went into the Twitter files, information that was given from on high at Twitter. Basically, every conspiracy theory you ever thought about Twitter and its censorship and its working with the government to suppress information and control the narrative turned out to be true. Well, there you have. If you know evil, speak out against it. But the structure in question, on the day that Matt Taibbi was testifying before Congress, his home was visited by agents of the Internal Revenue Service. He spoke out against what he felt to be evil, and evil struck back, as evil often does. Nothing like the projection that those people like to lay on us for misuse of power. It has been visited upon us. But we're beyond the point where we are asked to tolerate evil, what some people would call the more benevolent forms of evil. We are to the point where we, in fact, are expected to deify it. Example. This week, odd, ain't it? When people demand your attention and support of their beliefs and behavior, or else they're going to hurt or kill themselves or people around them. Under ordinary circumstances, we would call that controlling behavior, controlling toxic narcissism, even. We would say that those people are holding you emotionally hostage. Unless, of course, you are one of the divine protected class of the alphabet people like little Aiden here. Now, I'm sure I'm dead naming her. I'm sure I'm incorrectly using her pronouns, and I could give two flying fucks at 6 rolling donuts, because Aiden, her, he, shim, it killed 6 innocent fucking people this week. But in accordance with the system to which we have become accustomed, we are expected to look the other way at the action, and in fact, we're scolded for the incorrect use of this, and I repeat, child killers' pronouns. It's not enough to tolerate. We are expected to deify. And in keeping with covering up real evil for generating the perception of evil from the other side, what do we know from all of the terrorist actions of radical Islam? Whenever it's a white guy that pops his cork, shoots up the place, a horrible spectacle, but always within 30 seconds, before the facts are even allowed to roll in, this guy was acting on behalf of white supremacy. No matter what it was white supremacy, white male patriarchal cis-het dominance, and that'll be the end of it. But whenever it's an action of, say, radical Muslims shooting up a gay nightclub, oh, their motives may never be known. When it's a black man plowing through a Christmas parade in a red minivan, killing scores of folks, killing and injuring scores of folks, his motives may never be known. In fact, it wasn't even him. It was the red SUV that plowed through the Christmas parade. Well, we get to revisit it this week because little Aiden and he, she, hers pronouns took their action against a private school that was attached to a church. So, even though Aiden left a manifesto specifically saying that she had isolated this church for an attack because it was religious and because it was undefended, sadly, her, his, whatever's motives may never be known. And if we call evil what it is, if we call evil by its improper pronouns, we are, in fact, bigots. But if it weren't for double standards, these people would have no standards at all. This is a well-established fact. This was the result of the shooting. On the Trans Day of Vengeance, this angry mob literally broke down the doors of the Tennessee State Capitol building. Let's ponder that for a minute. An angry mob breaking down doors at a Capitol building. Let me see. Up until this weekend, that was referred to as an insurrection, I believe, in the popular narrative, but not this crowd. No, this is another one of those mostly peaceful protests because their ideology happens to be on the right side. They are in favor of trans rights, but they can't say that it was a trans rights demonstration, a trans rights day of vengeance as advertised. No, these people were gun control advocates, peacefully protesting for stronger gun laws. Boots on the ground have the story a little bit different, but don't ever let the facts get in the way of a good narrative. C.S. Lewis once said that good people know about both good and evil. Bad people do not know about either. I'm going to go C.S. Lewis one better. Bad people are bad specifically because of the relativism that does not allow them to know either. See if you follow me here. Good people often do evil things. Good people are not perfect. We are not saints. We are not angels. We are not messiahs. Good people do evil things. It happens. And we are held to account for it because we understand that those things are evil. We hold ourselves to account and we hold each other to account. When good people do evil things, there is accountability. Bad people, the moral relativists, they do not know about good or evil because to them, it's all the same. No spiritual belief system is any better than any other. No moral code is any better than any other. All ethics are situational. It's all about me, baby. And therefore, they do not understand and cannot isolate what is good and what is evil. And when the power structure that we have previously discussed is running the show, it makes it even easier for truly vile actions to be conducted with no accountability. Now, as Rick Warren here says, a lie doesn't become truth, wrong doesn't become right, and evil doesn't become good just because it's accepted by a majority. But I'm going to go Warren one better here. The lie doesn't become truth, the wrong doesn't become right, and evil doesn't become good just because it's accepted by a majority, particularly when that majority is illusory. Because I'm going to tell you from personal experience, mileage, and objective observation, and I would say a mountain of empirical and cultural evidence, those people who believe these things and advocate these vile behaviors are far from the majority. But again, the system in control, which looks over the media, social media, academia, entertainment, and government, they are far from the majority, but they control the perception. You control the stimulus, you control the response, you control the perception, you control 90% of people's reality. So we need to double down and focus. We need to be the good people that we are who know about both good and evil. And we had better damn well decide which side we're ready to go to bat for and how far we are willing to push it. Search your heart, your mind, and your soul, because going forward, these are going to be what's guiding these. God's give us the strength for the fight. The opinions expressed by the Reverend are his own and no one else's on the planet. Not friends, not foes, not supporters, not detractors, not sponsors, and I cannot stress this enough, certainly not employers. They have been adjudicated thought crime in all jurisdictions. Consider yourself warned. They are coming from the heart. They are guided by the mind and open wide, motherfucker, because they are guaranteed to choke you with a big fat dose of veiny, turgid truth cock. Welcome back, boys and girls. Apparently, third time is the charm. We're here for the Sunday sermon. I will explain. In the meantime, let's all just take a deep breath, find that fire deep down inside, and everybody come in for the drum roll. Here we go. So, clearly we had a little bit of technical difficulty getting out of the starting gate. I'm really not sure exactly what was causing the whole problem, but we seem to have gotten it isolated. I basically switched out. Yes. Oh, yes. And sis, we're going into that. We are going into that today. You better fucking believe it. In fact, I think there may be a little bit of closet smashing today. Maybe a little bit of closet smashing today. Not that anybody who's paying attention would even understand that there's a semblance of closet around, but whatever. We're going to smash some doors down today. I have a feeling deep down inside. Love you, sis, and I'm glad you're on board. We got Joey here. Yes, sound is great. Took me a minute, got everything adjusted. Emmy, the original Sinner sister herself. Glad you made it. Oh, look. Okay, so we got David. We got Joey. We got Roman. Thank you for being on board. Who else we got? Look at this. Finally got it. Yes. We're there, bro. We're there. Yes, we made it happen. Took a little bit of doing. Yes, and as am I. As am I, sis. But believe me, we are going to get into all that shit today. You guys might have noticed from the header, I said we're gonna get back into a little of the old school rage today. I've been more affirmational than confrontational, but at some point, as we said in the opener, good people get to a point where we say, hey, fuck it, you know what, we had enough. We got to look something in the eye and be ready to call this shit. Just be like, hey, bro, no, enough is fucking enough. You know, doesn't matter that you are that you can be part of a demographic or have love for members of a demographic. When that demographic goes off the rails and members from the inside of that demographic are seeing that it's going off the fucking rails and people from outside that demographic are shouting them down, I think we're through the looking glass, don't you? In any case, the bumper music, as always. Red Desert, maybe the band is Red Desert, from the smoldering ruins and embers of the once great American city of Minneapolis, Minnesota. The name of the band is Red Desert. The name of the track is Older, No Wiser. Every week I get a little bit older, and every week you guys get to decide if I've gotten any wiser. Some weeks I do better than others. This week I've definitely gotten older. Crossed the 54-year threshold this past week. Had a very pleasant visit from out of town from my lovely wife, Miss Charlie. It was an outstanding week all the way around. Lots of good stuff going on. So, what is this? We've all got a job to take the job in some fashion. Yes, this is true, man. Hate the alphabet people, but won't say it. You're not willing to go right. Exactly. That's the whole thing, man. When we cross that threshold, and again, we're going to do the deep dive on this later. But what spiked me, man? What spiked me, because I watched the Ricky Gervais thing this week, you know, and he did the funny bit about the pronouns, you know. Well, what if he rapes me? What if she rapes you? You know, it was a funny bit until this shooting happened at the school, and they're calling Aiden or whatever his name is this week, and somebody on MSNBC apologized for using the wrong pronouns. Bro, 6 people dead, and your moral priority is, oh, I don't want to dead name this person. What the threshold have we crossed at this point, people? And that's what set it off. I was like, okay, you know what? I'm fucking done. I am done. I mean, there's been a lot more to it, but again, we'll do the deep dive on all this stuff, man. We're getting started about an hour late. We're still going to cover all the material. As the bumper music's fading out, I'll tell you basically, I rebooted the computer, unplugged one webcam, plugged in another webcam before I unplugged the computer. That didn't fix it. Shut the computer down, turned it back on again. Everything seems to reset itself. I'm sure that's the tech support version. Did you try unplugging it and plugging it back in? Well, yeah, now I have, and apparently it fixed it. I didn't think that would have anything to do with live streaming on StreamYard, but here we are. So, just to catch everybody up to speed, I apologize for the production difficulties earlier, but I've deleted the botched versions with that echo going on. So we're just going to go ahead and roll with it, man. See what's going on. Go ahead and fade out the bumper music. Once again, man, the name of the band is Red Desert. They have been kind enough. And I've said this before, man. I started using them as bumper music just because I really, really like that track, and I really, really like them as a band. And the first time I ever used the music, it was kind of a goof. It was early on in the COVID pandemic, and I had this gas mask that I put on, and I put that song on, and we just kind of like dancing around and stuff. And I was like, you know what, man? I don't really have any opener bumper music. I think this is my jam, dude. This is my jam. I think we're gonna work with that. And I've used it pretty much ever since. I talked to the guys online. I communicated with them. I was like, hey, man, I get the Sunday Sermon podcast. Every Sunday I go on, I do this thing, guys go and, check it out, see if you dig it. If it runs afoul of your politics and you prefer not having your music attached to it, then I got no problem with that. I'll pull it. And they were like, no, dude, cool, rock on, so that's where we're at. So definitely, man, check those guys out on Spotify, download their stuff, download some of their merch. Red Desert. I mean, they're just a good gut stomping stoner doom rock and roll. I'm in a 70s fucking airbrushed van kicking it in the backwoods kind of thing. It's just got that kind of vibe. I really like the guys, is basically what I'm saying. Plus, Minneapolis was a beautiful fucking city before the fentanyl Floyd riots. Still the home of my favorite airport in the United States. And the beauty of it was, when I was working for Delta, that was one of the Delta hubs. So anywhere that I flew, I'm flying standby. I would fly through Minneapolis, and they have the train that runs through the middle of through the middle of the airport. Now I can just drop down, get on the train, go into downtown Minneapolis, fuck around, in downtown, and then go to one of these parks. I mean, it's really, really beautiful out there, or was, before the mostly peaceful riots and looting of 2020. In any case, I digress. Welcome. We're here for the sermon. Glad you guys came back around for all of it. Let me get the sponsor shout outs out of the way real quick. First, foremost, Roman at opiumtales.com and his lovely wife, Carrie, and Roxy and Ellie, and a bevy of beautiful women that he does the watercolor work on over there. They are the erotic pinups and portraits people. Roman has been a dear friend of mine. We go all the way back to 1988. And he's always been the creative sort, primarily in a musical format. Now he's gotten off into this painting and art thing, and he's doing some beautiful watercolor work over there. So you've got naked, beautiful women and testosterone-driven commentary and, beautiful artwork on Planet Bart. That is a trifecta. So definitely go and check him out. And he is back on Twitter now that Elon is running the show. One day I will be able to have Roman on, and we can out him and give you the full story behind that. I think you will find it just as hilarious as the two of us have been finding it for all these years. Also, big shout out to Casey and Dusty Tellison, my Nordic Smoke Barbecue brothers. If you guys follow me on my personal Facebook page, Dusty brought by while Charlie was in town this week. Uh, Greatest birthday present that I could have asked for. Now, actually, I need to post a picture. He did. Dusty did as part of a birthday present several years ago that he also brought, barbecued ribs and chicken and all that good stuff by. He did a piece of reclaimed material art for me. He found an old chain from a chainsaw and this old piece of wood and some other chains out by the railroad yard. And he did this sign that has adorned the the upper edge of my door and will for as long as I draw a breath. Bart's bunker of blood and steel. Bart's bunker of blood and steel. And he made this plaque for me, and it hangs above the door here at the bunker. He's just a fantastic guy. But you guys know how I feel about Nordic Smoke Barbecue, and I got to rock some for the 54th birthday. It was fucking epic. It was amazing. I still have not worked my way all the way through it. I'm at the ash end of it right now. But we had ribs and we had chicken and we had pulled pork, and me and the wife gorged ourselves into just ridiculous food comas. And it was a beautiful thing. It was a beautiful thing. They're going to be out again with the Viking Longship. I will keep you updated on the schedule with that. They've been doing a fuck ton of catering gigs and different barbecue competitions and things like that. But they have the Viking Longship, the big smoker, trailer that they will be taking around, and I will keep you guys up to date on that. But check their stuff out. We talked about some of the things they have in the works right now, and I can't really give away a whole lot of stuff, even though I'm chomping at the bit to do it. But I'm going to keep you informed. They're great people. They do a fantastic fucking product. The only legit barbecue in the Inland Northwest. Talking about Nordic Smoke Barbecue, Casey and Dusty Tellison. Dusty, the big pit master, big bear of a guy. And yeah, he brought some Nordic Smoke love by the place this week. So it's been good. It's been very, very good. So first things first, let's go ahead. You already know what we're going to jump off into, and that is going to be Ryan's Rabbit Hole. Big thundering roar of applause. Okay, cool. Great sound effect. You guys know Ryan. You know my connection to Ryan. I love him like my own flesh and blood. One of the things that we bonded over early is we were both repositories of useless information. Sometimes watching a conversation between the two of us, particularly when we're both heavily caffeinated or slightly inebriated, as the case may be, becomes like a tennis match because we're going off in our own fucking stuff and things that you've never heard of. And so we made it a segment, and it's become a very popular segment. Basically, every week we go a little bit off the beaten path. Sometimes it's in line with the stuff that I'm going to be talking about in the sermon. Sometimes it's not. But it's always interesting. It's a little poke into your bread oven, kind of take you off into an area, maybe a historical figure with whom you were previously unfamiliar, an historical event, a particular esoteric bit of magical knowledge, a bit of hidden history, crypto paleontology. Ooh, wow, geez, there's a college word. I got like 3 of those. Anyway, but it's always something a little different, just to try to expand your horizons a little bit, give you a little rabbit hole to chase down. This week, a fellow by the name of Randall Carlson, excuse me. You guys will be familiar with Carlson primarily through the work of Graham Hancock, if you are at all. And I got to tell you, I was late to the party on Carlson. I've always been fond of Graham Hancock's work. I'm going to venture to say that I think I dig Carlson a little bit better, but I'm going to let you have the joy of discovery for yourself. The things in his bio, an expert manufacturer and structural fashioner. In addition, he is perceived as an instructor, geometrician, and geomythologist. What the fuck does all of that mean? Basically, he is a specialist in elevated and evolved civilizations that preceded recorded history. If you're familiar with Graham Hancock, you've got a general idea. But this guy goes deeper, and his work in eschatology, depending on how you choose to pronounce that, deep catastrophic cycles, right? Major catastrophes that have wiped out these prior civilizations, how it may have happened, how these things are actually recorded and manifested in recorded history, but in a way that modern man may not have actually had the heads up to it. Hancock speaks of him very, very highly. Geological explorer and renegade scholar is what Mr. Hancock had to say about him. But he does a lot of work in the field of sacred geometry. You guys are familiar with that. I know we got some Tool fans out there that are at least tangentially familiar with sacred geometry and whatnot. But we're looking at earth science. We're looking at geomancy. We're looking at being able to conjure and theorize as to how some of these civilizations, say for instance, let me just give you the lowball estimate. Okay, we'll give you like Randall Carlson for dummies. He's the guy that can sort out how the pyramids were fucking built, but also tell you how the structures on Easter Island came to be, what they represented, and how that civilization got wiped out by a catastrophic event that has managed to escape most of the so-called scientists that have ever looked into it. He is, if science is a religion now, and I hold that it is, I hold that science has become its own religion. People like Randall Carlson are the Martin Luthers of the day, that are basically, yes, we are a part of the church, but here's why you were wrong, and I'm going to nail my demands to the door, and I'm going to kick the son of a bitch in. And now that we live in an age of information dissemination, like we do, even though media and social media control the majority of the narrative, it is easier for a Randall Carlson or a Graham Hancock to get their theories out there. You know, when you think about, I mean, okay, guys like Zecharia Sitchin would be another one that I would throw in there. That we've been visited and fucked with and experimented on, or are part of an alien species experiment, that they have intervened in specific points in our history and our evolution to advance our evolution. Of course, that's not where Hancock and Carlson are coming from. They are coming from, these are the civilizations that existed, that perhaps Mr. Sitchin's aliens came in and, gave a little boost to. Here's who they were. Here is the technology that they created. Here's how that civilization was lost. It's definitely worth a look. I'm going to give you this one just as a reference. There was a CNN documentary in 1997 called Fire from the Sky. And earth-changing catastrophic events was the focus of that documentary. Look into that, because that is based on the core of Carlson's work. So again, Randall with 2 L's, Carlson like the sweater wearing softy on on Fox News. But yeah, Randall Carlson, that is your rabbit hole for the week, and I want you to go further and look into that documentary. Excuse me, Fire from the Sky, because I think you're going to get a lot out of that. I think one of the reasons why Randall, why Carlson appeals to me more than Graham Hancock, is the fact that he goes into the major catastrophes, right? A lot more, like Hancock will tell you, okay, here was an advanced civilization. It got wiped out by a catastrophic event. Carlson would tell you, let me tell you how catastrophic this event was. Let me put the scope in some perspective for you. And that's one of the reasons why I really dig what he has going on. So definitely worth looking into. Check that out if you get a second. Let me click this real quick. There we go. Sorry, just had to adjust that banner real quick. But that is going to be your rabbit hole. Randall Carlson is going to be your rabbit hole for the week. This week, the 2nd day of April 2023. My birthday was on 29 March. I appreciate all the guys that extended well wishes and everything else. I'm going to throw in a little something too before we get off into the other stuff. There's an article that appeared 6 days before my birthday. You guys know about Substack. I am constantly pumping up Substack. You guys need to check out Substack. If you are serious about being informed, right? You know, the casual out before, you know, people that think themselves, you know, smugly pseudo intellectual. Well, I don't listen to CNN or Fox, man. I listen to like NPR and I listen to like the BBC. Oh, great. You know, so you're even more a tool of the fucking deep state than anybody else. You're just more pretentious about it. If you're serious about getting information, and you know what, you can even within the bounds of Substack, you can even keep it with your team, quote unquote, right? Because there are plenty of liberal journalists on Substack. And I'm not talking about people who come from a liberal school who are now, because of the Overton window, considered conservative. Guys like Greenwald and Taibbi that I subscribe to. There are plenty of legit liberals on there. If that is the narrative that you seek. But everyone who is on Substack is there for a reason. And large parts of those reasons, in most of those cases, are the fact that they are not willing to spoon feed people the mainstream narrative. Now, if you are content with whatever branch of the mainstream narrative you choose to go with, if you are content to let Glenn Beck or Tucker Carlson or that fucking Maddow guy, you know, do your thinking for you, by all means, have at it. Okay. But understand that if you're coming at me with any of that, I know that you're a fucking shill. I know that you are spewing talking points, and I know that an original critical thought would just bust your fucking head open. Okay. Substack and services like it, I gravitate to Substack because it would, you know, they arrived firstest with the mostest, and they are the ones that got my attention. There are other independent publishing outlets for legitimate journalists besides Substack now. You're going to hear me pump Substack because it's the one that I use, right? They don't sponsor the program in much the same sense as Iron Infidel doesn't sponsor the program, but I love this fucking battle bottle. So I pump those guys up. Same thing. Go to Substack. You will find people there with the voices that speak to you. But the one unifying thread that you will find among all those voices is they are speaking from the heart. They are speaking objective truths. And they are doing it unapologetically. Mainstream legacy journalism is fucking dead. Has been for a long fucking time. If you want to watch it for the entertainment value, then find somebody you find entertaining. I happen to think Tucker Carlson is entertaining as all fucking hell. He's the only guy with a set of balls at Fox right now. He's entertaining. Glenn Beck, I find entertaining. You know, that Maddow guy is entertaining, right? Entertaining in the sense of smugness. I am constantly fucking challenging. I am seeking out people that are diametrically opposed to me ideologically because that is the only way I can test the strength of my own beliefs. Nothing makes me happier. Nothing makes me more erect than somebody coming at me with a legit case that is in diametric opposition. Diametric opposition, that's my college word. I got like 3 of those. That is in diametric opposition to my particular preferred narrative. If you can make the case, then by God, if the truth shall kill them, let them die. Was that Immanuel Kant? Somebody want to fact check me on that? I'm pretty sure that's Immanuel Kant. If the truth shall kill them, let them die. If the truth shall kill my narrative, let it die. If the truth shall hand me a big bucket of go fuck yourself, you've been wrong, then that belief needs to die, right? I was a loud and proud and adamant advocate for the theory of anthropogenic global warming, anthropogenic climate change for my entire fucking life up until as late as like 2013, 2014. And finally, I had to take a look at the bulk of the evidence that was in my face and be able to say, okay, I was wrong. You were there because you love Ann Coulter. Look, man, don't make fun of what I have with my little tranny Annie, okay? And people, that's the funniest thing in the world, man. People that make that accusation. I know you guys you may or may not have heard that case before. People saying that Ann Coulter is closet trans and blah blah blah, which is funny because like anything else with the left, like the only trans person they ever met that they didn't like was a trans conservative, which would be Ann Coulter, or a legit conservative trans person, fucking Blair White, which, oh my God, please bring it on. Blair has a cock, cool. Where's the harm? If Ann Coulter has a cock, where's the harm? Don't care. Legitimately don't care. Don't care. It's just, look, I said what I fucking said. Don't have a goddamn issue. Anyway, yeah, Joey, maybe I'm there because I love Ann Coulter. She's your own personal Lenny Riefenstahl. Maybe. Science was part of the Celtic way. Yes, David, science was part of the Celtic way, but that's when it was legit science. The scientific method, hypothesis, test against, control groups. That is legitimate scientific method. I don't have the little TM, in a circle thing to put here when I say science, but that science TM is a dirty whore. Period. That's what she's become. She's your own personal Lenny Riefenstahl. That's fucking awesome, Joey. Maybe a little. In any case, guys, Substack, please. Don't let me get too derailed here. I want you guys to go on Substack and check it out. There's plenty of stuff that is free. Even some of the upper level guys that do have paid subscription accounts have like lower tiers where you'll get every fourth or fifth article that they do for free, or some of the shorter articles that you will get for free. And then you can buy in and say, okay, well, I'm going to pay $5 a month and get everything this guy has. And when I say $5 a month, I mean, that's basically what Taibbi's is. Matt Taibbi, man, it's like the whole shooting match for like $5 a month, right? Think about what you spend on, and I hate to use this because it's so fucking cliched. I had to think about what I spend on a pack of cigarettes, right? Which, by the way, only 4 cigarettes this entire week. By the way, 4 cigarettes this entire week. I had to think about what I spend on a pack of cigarettes. Some of you guys think about what you spend on one of your high-end coffee beverages or bottled water. Ah, God. Yes, I know I missed it. Sorry, Ryan. I was dead. Fuck. Ugh. All right. Ugh. Let me add this on to the rabbit hole. I want everybody to read right there. There it is. You see this? See it right there. You see that? Younger, dry ass. When you are doing a rabbit hole, I want you to include younger, dry ass in your search terms. All right? Please do that. And I'm sorry, Ryan, that I neglected to mention it. I also didn't go into your favorite pet theory with regard to certain areas of New Mexico and the origins of species. In any case, I kind of wanted to get I was in a hurry. All right, let me just call it what it is. I was in a hurry, and B, I kind of wanted to leave something for them to figure out on their own. But when you are going down the rabbit hole for Randall Carson, look into younger dry ass, please. And my apologies. Mea culpa. Okay. Get a pipe. It's better for you. Well, David, considering my previous experience with pipes, that's gonna be a negative. In any case, man, I brought up Substack because I wanted to give you one more thing that I want to do on a weekly basis, and that is, and I will forget from time to time, but sometimes there is an article that comes down the pike, whether it is Substack, whether it is somewhere else that I'm picking it up. This particular week, it comes from Substack. There is a Substack account called Pandemia, okay? I will tell you, these guys are subscription. I do not subscribe to Pandemia currently, but after this article, I'm giving it serious consideration. So I get about every third or fourth article that they do. Um, but I think this is going to be worth the $7 a month. Pandemia, and the search term is going to be, what heroic stories do our enemies have to tell? You guys remember the early days of this, when this was my therapy and it was basically the COVID cast. And now we are 3 years past it, and we're to the point where, as I was saying, science is a dirty whore, and all of these things are coming out that we were right all along. This particular article was written by a guy that also wrote Hydroxychloroquine: The World Has Lost Its Sense of Risk and Benefit. I'm just gonna highlight two particular line items out of this. But there was an American doctor by the name of Brian Proctor. He treated, and this is early on, and this is the thing, these things got shot down. Nobody wanted to mention it. Here's the thing: hydroxychloroquine, no matter what, didn't kill anyone. Ivermectin, no matter what, didn't kill anyone. So let's assume that there were zero benefits across the board for this. At the very least, it didn't kill anyone. The FDA cannot say the same for remdesivir. The FDA cannot say the same for ventilators. Brian Proctor, he treated 489 infected people with hydroxychloroquine. Among the patients, there were only 6 hospitalizations and only a single death. And out of that 489, 320 of those patients, were at risk, as in over 50 years, and had at least one comorbidity. Out of 489 people, 6 hospitalizations and 1 death. Compare that track record to remdesivir. Oh, well, that's a small fucking sample size. Okay. George Fareed and Brian Tyson, they treated 3,962 COVID patients, almost 4,000 COVID patients early, and only had 2 hospitalizations and 0 deaths. And 400 plus of those patients were already many days into their symptom when they started treatment. This is all documented shit. But I think the tie-in that really got it for me was, you guys remember, think about when this film came out. You guys remember back in 2014, there was a film that was released called The Dallas Buyers Club. You guys remember that film? Matthew McConaughey played a guy. Thank you. Right, exactly. Matthew McConaughey played a man who worked the black market, bringing experimental medications across the border to treat AIDS patients. They made him out to be a hero. He was taking medications that were not, and he was, all right. The character that the fellow who's McConaughey's character was based on was a bona fide goddamn hero. Because at the same time that was going on, Father Fauci, the exalted one, was pushing AZT, which was killing thousands of fucking people. But this guy, Dallas Buyers Club, he's bringing medications that are not FDA approved across from Mexico. That movie made him out to be a fucking hero. Well, if that guy is a hero, then let's talk about some heroic stories. Let's talk about Brian Proctor. Let's talk about George Fareed. Let's talk about Brian Tyson. And that basically is the gist of this article. And it's Reverend Bart's Read of the Week. And I want you guys to take the time to read it, please. Substack, and guys, feel free to type it into the comments so nobody forgets. Next time I will remember, and we will have it there so I can just pull it up right down here and you guys will be able to pull it up. Pandemia, Substack, Pandemia. And the name of the article is, What Heroic Stories Do Our Enemies Have to Tell? Well, the answer to that is easy. The answer to that is simple. Blood simple. They have no stories to tell. They have no stories to tell whatsoever. Because all they did was shill for the establishment. So many people that I know that proclaim themselves hippies and anti-establishment and free thinkers, and all they did through the entire fucking pandemic was follow the narrative and scream at people like you and I that we needed to have our jobs taken away, that we need to have our children taken away, that we need to be incarcerated if not killed. They wished death on us. What heroic stories do they have to tell? We did what we were told. Grandpa, what'd you do during the pandemic? Well, I wore my mask every day because they said I would, and I got the first 2 jabs, and then I got my boosters. And is that why your heart doesn't work now, Grandpa? Well, we don't want to talk about that. And the doctors say it's got nothing to do with nothing. The doctors say that it's eggs and global warming that's causing my heart to act up like that. Yeah, but Grandpa, shut up. Shut up, he explained. Joey, I knew you'd like that. Shut up, he explained. Michelle Obama has a cock. Yeah, but again, see, Ryan, that still falls outside my wheelhouse because, I may be gay, but I'm still racist. Anyway, so yeah, that the fuck is this? I don't know, man. I don't know. Anyhow, so that's where we're at. Those people are genuine heroes. Every single one of those people are genuine, fucking bona fide, goddamned heroes. And I absolutely fucking mean that, because they legitimately took on the establishment and public pressure was on them like a motherfucker, and they didn't care. They were legitimately looking to help people. I know it seems like a crazy stretch, for people that took the Hippocratic Oath to actually be interested in the well-being of other individuals and actually doing, putting them on medication that actually helps versus what we've been told to do. These people are heroes, and this article's been fantastic about it, and I really, really hope that you guys take a look and go and check it out for yourself. Let me see. Those are my bullet points. Let me see where we're at here. I'm trying to pull this up because there is a particular bullet point that I wanted to go over. It is a thread that is being reposted all over the place, and ever since I took issue with the goddamn thing, everybody pulled it, and now I am having difficulty finding the motherfucker, and that is an object of some consternation for me here. Let me see. Give me a couple of seconds here to pull this up. Here we go. All right, good. So, here's the thread. And you guys have probably seen it. It's spoken very self-righteously from the beginning, and then they give you a long list of things, and then down at the end, it says, feel free to copy and paste and share. Starts off like this: in case you've lost track. Thurston High School, Columbine High School, Heritage High School, Deming Middle School, Fort Gibson Middle School, blah, 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 blah. This goes on. I'm going to estimate there's over 100 entries here easily. And some of them are even legit. But here's your trick, guys. When you see this, when you see the thread, here's what I want you to do. I want you to go immediately, and I want you to copy and paste any of those schools, right? Do a Google search for them, and then put the word shooting beside of it. Because here's what I found with just about 3 or 4 minutes on Google, all right? Western Illinois and Oak Cliff, the shootings in question took place off campus and were gang-related. There was one at A&M Commerce, and that was a dispute between students that suspected to be gang-related, and that happened in a campus dorm. Those are the first 3 that I looked at, just at random. So I started pulling them down. One more from Bel Air High School in Houston. Turns out it was a 16-year-old who was showing off a gun to a 19-year-old friend when it accidentally discharged. Not exactly somebody walking and shooting up the place, was it? Reginald F. Lewis High School, a 19-year-old off campus injured by a stray bullet from a gang-related drive-by shooting. And yet it's still on this list. Central Catholic, the shooter and the victim were not students there. The shooting took place on campus after a football game with no other students or teachers present. 2 o'clock in the morning, a couple of guys got beef. They meet out on the football field. One of them shoots the other. They're calling it a school shooting. Do you follow me here? Now, again, I'm not your fucking guru. I did not go through every single one of these. I don't have the time. I was just snagging them at random. And that was the pattern that developed, right? There are a couple of lessons here. Lesson number 1 is going to be about digging deeper and not letting your emotions snag you by the balls and drag you around. Oh, you want close, man? It's done. I knew it was coming. Yes. All of these schools, man. I mean, I guarantee you some of them are legit. Like, again, Columbine, obviously legit. Fort Gibson, okay, fine. You have Marjorie Stoneman Douglas. You have Sandy Hook. Stuff. And, again, and don't Alex Jones me right now, because I saw a couple of you go, well, technically, no, stop. Some of these, I'm sure a number of these are legit, guy walks onto campus and shoots up the place type shootings. But this is the narrative. This is how they trick you, particularly after an event like this. An event like this to get you around these distractions. Let's go into that particular shooting because we're here. And because I need to address, I need to address this one, because of all of the things that it represents. You got 6 people, including 3 kids, including a 9-year-old kid. I don't give a fuck what your pronouns are. I stop caring what your pronouns are the minute you kill a child. Simple as that. But again, it's not enough for us to tolerate behavior now. Now we have to deify it. Now we have to continue as if there were some moral equivalency between dead naming Aiden here, and let's get an update. Trans Day of Vengeance in DC canceled in wake of Nashville school shooting, but apparently in Tennessee they didn't get the memo, because those trans activists stormed the place along with some gun control advocates. They stormed the place. They kicked down the barricades. They shoved aside. They roughed up law enforcement officers. They made their way all the way into the interior gallery and started giving speeches over the microphone, uninvited, trespassing after being ordered to leave. Some places they call it an insurrection, but when that particular side does it, it's not an insurrection. It's a mostly peaceful protest. And they're there to look out for the well-being of the children. The same well-being of the children that they claim they're looking out for the same children when they start talking about gender-affirming care. Let's get off on that real quick, shall we? I'm beyond the point of trying to be diplomatic about this. I will not have my track record called into question by the majority of folks. I tell you what, you want to call my track record into question? When you have met as many trans women as I have fucked, you will have the right to call me into question on anything. Okay? Okay. A little bit of closet smashing, there you go. Not that that should have been any secret to anybody who's known me for any length of time. I have people in my life, and I will not go into a whole lot of specifics, but they are people that are exceedingly close to me, who are trans. I'm not even going to go into which way they're headed from one gender to the other. They have my unquestioned love, my unconditional love, and my support in as much as it is their decision to make with their adult life. I need to be very specific about that. And I am honest with these people to whom I am that close. They know that I will not play the pronoun game. They know that I will not deny biological realities. I will call them by their preferred names and I will call them by their preferred names out of respect and love, because they're grown-ass people and they don't compel anything. And they've both been very, very good to me. I would stand up and scrap 5-on-1 for either one of these individuals, and they both know that. Does it rub them the wrong way that I won't play the pronoun game? No. Which is exactly why I am able to continue to have the bond with these people that I do. I can shoot straight with them, like grown-ass adult men. They may not like everything that I have to say, but they know that I'm pulling no fucking punches. Well, let's get off on this for a minute. People that make transition as adult, when you were talking about gender-affirming healthcare, getting back to what we were talking about, the bullet point was lies, damned lies, and school shooting statistics. There are lies about the nature of these school shootings, right? In the same way that there are lies and damned lies about the nature of this particular individual doing the shooting. Don't let a person kill 3 children and tell me that I am supposed to respect their fucking pronouns. Do not let a demographic exist where 80% of said demographic entertains suicidal ideation and 40+% of said demographic will attempt it at some point in their life, and expect me to act as if there aren't some serious psychological issues to be dealt with here. Issues that go way beyond, well, if you just supported them, they would be fine. Maybe in an adult context, but if supporting them unconditionally means cutting the cock off of children, slicing the breasts off of adolescent girls, put me down as a bigot, motherfucker. That is a label that I will own, and is a label for which I will not fucking apologize. You've gone too fucking far. Hands off the fucking kids. Oh, what? You think I took the Catholic Church to task for their little pedo problem? But I'm totally going to look the other way when you're talking about passing state laws that allow a little boy to get his cock surgically removed without even so much as a consultation with the parents because it's gender affirming? No, I'm not making too much out of this. Oh, come on, man. They don't really want... Look at it. Read their own fucking literature. The hospitals that they insisted were not doing these surgeries had to pull stuff down off the website when it was found and proved that they were doing these surgeries, that they were providing these services, that they were counseling prepubescent children to get on irreversible puberty blockers. Puberty blockers are totally reversible. Okay, Sparky, I'm so glad you decided to take that tack. You can't prove that puberty blockers are irreversible. We haven't had them around long enough in that context. Right, which means that if I don't know, neither do you. What I can tell you is the one chemical in question was previously used for chemically castrating sex offenders. I should be clear about chemical castration. I don't mean burning it off chemically. I mean rendering it completely useless outside of urinary function. They want to give that to kids without so much as parental consent. Well, yeah, but it was used before. Yes, it was used before in very, very specific, limited cases. Particular health condition where there is early onset puberty, right? And the context in which it was used, let's say a little girl about 4 to 6 years old starts developing breasts. They put her on that just to hold everything level until she reaches 11 or 12, 13, typical puberty years, and then they pull her off of it, at which point the body resumes what it was going to do anyway. Not putting a little boy on it when he's 6 years old and decides that he's a little girl. This has never been done. This is ghoulish. This is evil. It is despicable, and I will not countenance or abide it. If this hair lips every hillbilly on Bear Creek and short dicks every cannibal on the Congo, I will not look at this sick evil and call it anything but sick and evil. Gonna lose some people behind this one. Why? Because I spent my entire adult life literally on the front lines of the LGBT rights movement. In fact, Roger, I'm so glad you popped in. A number of people that I trained back in the day were from a little group called Q Patrol. Basically the gay guardian angels down in Montrose. After the gay bashing incident where Paul Broussard was beaten to death, I marched. I blocked the intersection of Westheimer and Montrose with thousands of other people after that incident. I have put my heart and soul into teaching gay men and lesbian women how to defend themselves. Why? Because the hatred is real, and because these are generally decent people. I have spent decades doing my part for the LGBT community. Hey, Bart, you left one out. Yeah, I did. Please see Dave Chappelle's bit. Of how the T is what's holding up the bus for the L's, the G's, and the B's. What happened to, once upon a time, a little girl decides that she's kind of tomboyish and maybe she could grow up to become an L, couldn't she? Little boy, along the same level, going the other direction, he could grow up to become a G. Maybe they can't decide and they wind up being B's. But now we're not only asked to accept, and acceptance is fine. Statistically, it is infinitesimal. Or was. Now it's everywhere. Why? Tens of thousands of adolescent girls coming out as transgender. And what is the excuse that the movement gives us? The movement gives us the excuse, well, it's always been that prevalent. It just wasn't acceptable until now. Really? Okay. Then can you show me a corresponding epidemic of lesbian women in their 40s that are deciding to transition? I mean, why? If it's always been there and it's always been this prevalent and now it's acceptable, what about these people that have lived with that all their freaking lives? Having to live in the wrong body. Where are they? Where are the women in their 30s and their 40s and their 50s coming out and transitioning and living as... Where? They don't exist because this is not a real thing. This is a social contagion. This is peer pressure. This is anorexia and eating disorders. See if this sounds vaguely familiar. Adolescent girls, uncomfortable with their own bodies, forcing themselves to vomit, forcing themselves not to eat. And if they're doing it, then it becomes the other thing. Oh, well, that girl's getting skinny. I better getting skinny. And don't think I'm being insensitive. I have dealt with eating disorders my entire fucking life. Eating disorders and body image issues my entire life. So I know from whence I speak. I'm not being insensitive. I'm just being real with you now. Sorry if you're not tracking, but you will, by God, know where I stand on every inch of this. It is peer pressure. It is a social contagion. So, of course, it is happening almost exclusively, sorry to say primarily, almost exclusively among adolescent girls. The prevalence of this, right? Thank you. This is how long Roman's known me. He can sue for me because of my eating disorder. Yeah. Oh, yeah, man. You guys think you know. Yep. You guys think you know. You don't know. You ain't been there. So don't put me in your fucking box. How about listen to what I have to say? Then you can make your own judgments. Let the doorknob hit you with a good Lord split you, bitch, if you can't handle what I'm fucking bringing to you, man. Because I'm not backing down. I'm done apologizing. I'm done being non-confrontational about the shit. I'm done keeping my mouth shut in the interest of fucking diplomacy. Bart, you've never done that. Oh, yeah. Yeah. You haven't seen Wide Open, Bart, yet. Not one of you motherfuckers up here outside of Roger and Roman have seen Wide Open, Bart. You ain't seen it. But I'm being real with you now. It is not real. And again, where are similar numbers among adolescent boys? Even with all the peer pressure, even with all the expectations, even with social media, even with TikTok, even with peers, even with counselors being forbidden, and I'm not making this up, here in the state of Washington, counselors are forbidden to counsel them any other way but positive. If they present questioning their gender, and the counselor says, well, maybe this isn't a trans thing, maybe we can get you into some help for some other issues that might be causing this, they can lose their license here in the state of Washington. Look that up. I'm not your fucking guru. Fact check me, motherfucker. And the irony of that is the whole way they put that law on was because they didn't want people doing conversion therapy. You know, pray away the gay, which is equally absurd. How about, hey, teacher, leave them kids alone? Could we work with that? And I got to tell you, man, again, just like I'm saying, you have to get to a point where you realize, holy shit, I could have been wrong. Early on, this whole drag queen story hour, I thought it was one of the most absurd complaints in the world. And it was like, hey, man, it's cross-dressers reading fairy tales. That by itself is funny, just the irony of it. A cross-dresser reading a fairy tale. I didn't see what the big deal was. I thought people were overreacting. I thought everything was, I thought the transgender bathroom issue was one of the most absurd things. And I'm on record as saying this. Just like I post from memories all the time. That memories feature on Facebook, it holds me accountable. Not just to you guys, but to myself. Being able to admit when I was wrong. And maybe early on it wasn't that big of a deal, but, 3 words you're never going to hear escape my face in any sort of unironic way are slippery slope fallacy. That is the refuge. That is the refuge of people that. Slippery slope fallacy is the refuge of people who know that they're wrong, right? But you can't point out their hypocrisy. You can't point out historical precedent. You can't make the case because, slippery slip fallacy. Oop. Tag, you're it. No tag backs. Ryan, I'm calling you out. I'm sorry. Let me be specific. Ryan Thorburn, I'm calling you the fuck out. Slippery slope fallacy. It's not slippery slope fallacy. I thought it was an absurd thing. I really did. I thought it was an absurd thing to be fucking upset about. A drag queen reading kids fairy tales. What's the big deal? The bathroom issue, oh my God, yeah, there might be, isolated cases here and there, but guess what? We, as I was saying, we're past the point where we're expected to just overlook it. Now we're expected to deify it. What happened in Los Angeles? Guy walking around with his dong, and we're talking there are little girls in this dressing room, and a guy who identifies as trans is walking around with his dong out, and a concerned mother steps to him and says, "Hey, don't be waving your dick around in front of my child." Who got scolded by the staff at the facility? The angry mother. How dare you be a bigot? And it's not his penis, it's her penis. You guys should see that Ricky Gervais bit, by the way. If you haven't seen Ricky Gervais Supernature, see it. Because it's funny in that context, but that's legitimately going on now. And it's not anecdotal, people. It's every fucking where now. So yeah, the transgender bathroom thing, the transgender sports thing. Who could have seen that coming? But we're not expected to overlook it. We're expected to deify it now. Enough. You cannot keep people silent. I mean, you continue to call them bigots. You can extricate any of you. I don't care who you are. I don't care who you are to me, who you have been to me, who you expect to be to me. Know where the hell I stand. And if this causes you problems, me speaking an irrefutable truth, if me addressing a biological fact is going to be one toke over the line, pound sand, bitch. Any of you, no exceptions. Gets in one of the other bullet points that I had about being nice, but we'll address that. We'll address that in a minute. Lies, damned lies, and school shooting statistics. Lies, damned lies, and the trans movement. They will misrepresent. They will do whatever they have to make their points, politically, and what they push is guilt. They push fear, they push guilt. To the point where there are plenty of people right now that would rather be dead than ist or phobe. Are you guys familiar with the FBI uniform crime reports? The statistics on the nature of interracial violent crime? Okay? Am I jumping around here? Stay with me. Because it's all about the lie. I will speak the lie and put myself in danger rather than risk speaking and acting on truth, even in defense of myself. The most basic biological imperative for self-preservation. 13% of the population, African Americans, 13% of the United States population, commit over 50% of the fucking homicides. The overwhelming majority of which are committed against their own. Point being, you are exponentially more likely as a white person to be victimized by a black criminal than the other way around. And yet, people continue to put themselves in jeopardy because apparently they'd rather be dead than racist. Example number one, a comedian who is familiar to me. I'm not going to call her out, but I use her as an example in every women's self-defense class that I do. Why? Because she was beaten within an inch of her life, had her car stolen, and would have been raped and killed had she not made a lucky break right at the end. She saw a cluster of African American men that were hanging out, smoking cigarettes down by her fucking door. Her door, by the way, being at the end of a catwalk on an upstairs 10-plex apartment, way down on the other fucking end where there was no fucking staircase. And they were all gathered down there. Why? Why would they be gathered down there? Clearly, there's a problem. Clearly, her haunches went up. Clearly, she knew something was wrong. But she walked down to the door anyway. Why? Because she didn't want to be perceived as racist. She didn't want Let me say again. She didn't want those black guys who were clustered around her door with no exit at the end of a catwalk on an upstairs 10-plex, smoking cigarettes, didn't want them to think that she thought they were up to no good, even though she clearly thought they were up to no good. She put her life in deliberate jeopardy rather than be racist. This is where we've come to. For her trouble, by the way, they snatched her, they got her money, they got her purse, they got her car keys, they beat the fuck out of her, and they tried to drag her into the car to take her to a second location. She managed to brake just before they got her in the car, hauled ass and ran. And that is the only thing that kept her from being raped and killed. Bart, you're speculating. Okay, show me where I'm off base then, Sparky. She would have been raped and killed. Why? Easily avoidable. Because she'd rather be dead than racist. It is the same thing with this. And the stakes are no less. Well, I'd rather make it okay for a teenage boy to have his cock cut off than be thought of as a bigot. I'd rather make it okay for a 13-year-old to cut her tits off than to be thought of as a bigot or a phobe. Do you understand what the fuck you're saying now? I would rather have the wreckage of literally thousands of young, primarily female lives. Republican war on women, eat a dick. What you are forcing down our throats now is I would rather have the wreckage of thousands of young female lives who will now be rendered infertile, incapable of having children, who will do physical damage to their bodies, who will shorten their life expectancies, all because of peer pressure and social contagion. I would rather have an entire generation of teenage girls slicing their tits off and rendering themselves infertile than for you to think of me as a bigot. Go fuck yourself. What do we go into? What do we go into? A lie doesn't become truth, wrong doesn't become right, and evil doesn't become good just because it's accepted by a majority. And first of all, don't tell me that it's accepted by a majority. No one who seriously does an assessment of what they're looking at favors this. Survey after survey is finally showing that people are catching their snap and going, dude, this is social contagion. But yet, they keep drumming it. They don't call it mutilation. They call it gender-affirming care. Women, where are you on this one? It wasn't that long ago where you guys were bringing it to, quite correctly, by the way, bringing it to the forefront about female circumcision, clitoridectomies, cutting the clits off young girls. That got buried real quick because, again, we're back to the cultural relativism. Well, who are you to say what sub-Saharan African women should do with their clits? They're mutilating children. And the women, not so very long ago, were quite correctly all aflutter about that shit. But you know what? Same girl, decides she's a boy, wants to cut her own tits off, no harm, no foul, right? But I bet if I walked up to that same 13-year-old girl and offered a cigarette, you'd flip shit, wouldn't you? If I bought her a pack because she told me she wanted a pack. Well, this 13-year-old girl, she just told me she really, really wanted a pack of cigarettes, so I bought her a pack of Marlboro Reds, and now I just handed her a fucking lighter. Oh, you'd go to the wall for that, wouldn't you? What are you doing giving a little girl cigarettes? She can't make decisions like that. Totally okay, though, right? Enough. Good people know about both good and evil. Bad people do not know about either. And I'm going to tell you something. I consider myself a good man. And I've done some very fucking evil things in my life, things that I am not proud of, things that still wake me up in a cold sweat at 3 o'clock in the fucking morning. You don't want the nightmares that float around in my head, Sparky. But on balance, I have tried to do the right fucking thing. When people tell you about this moral relativism, who are you to judge? I'll tell you who the fuck I am to judge. Somebody who wants to see fucking children be children. Somebody who thinks it might be a bad idea for a 13-year-old boy to have his cock cut off. Before he's even legally allowed to smoke or get a tattoo, he can decide what gender he's going to fucking be and have a permanent fucking disfiguring, mutilating surgery done to himself. And in some states, without even so much as a consultation with his parents. Are you fucking kidding me? If I don't support that, I'm a bigot? Bigot me right the fuck up then. This is not okay. You're denying who I am. If that is really who you are, will you not be that same person 4 years from now when you reach the age of majority? The movement doesn't want that decision to take that long. You can either have a live son or a dead daughter, or vice versa. Fuck that. Fuck that. The plural of anecdote is not data. And the data says that left to their own devices, 90% of these kids will grow out of the gender dysphoria thing. They will grow up to become healthy, functional gays and lesbians. Or straight kids. Tomboy type chicks. Left to their own devices, that's what the data says will happen. You don't want that. After this shit happened, and this is the fourth high-profile shooting, by the way. This is the fourth high-profile shooting committed by a trans mass shooter. Here's a good one. You can look this up. Photo of trans woman holding gun misrepresented after Nashville shooting. Oh, misrepresented. That's interesting because what I see, let me see. Because what I see is Alana McLaughlin, an MMA fighter, holding a gun. And it was misrepresented because the gun is on the trans rights flag. Anna McLaughlin, an MMA fighter and trans woman. Ponder that for a second. Former member of the U.S. Army Special Forces and current MMA fighter. She has a professional record of 1-0-0, having made her debut fight in Miami at Combat Global 2021. Openly trans woman. This is a guy beating the shit out of women. It took Bill Burr, a fucking stand-up comedian, to really break it down and qualify it. This is not a brave, bold female athlete. This is a dickless dude beating the shit out of women. And putting photos of himself up, holding a flag with guns on it. Conservatives put up a don't tread on me flag. We're fucking nut job extremists and we need to be watched by the fucking FBI. This person, part of a demographic, let me remind you, with 80% lifetime suicide ideation and 42% will make an attempt at least once. Wait a minute. We got to have background checks because mentally ill people shouldn't have guns, but I'm not asking you to fucking get angry. I'm asking you to recognize what is right there in fucking front of you. And this group of people stormed the Tennessee State Capitol this weekend, stormed it, kicked down the fucking door, pushed aside, beat up law enforcement officers, stormed all the way into the fucking gallery. Mostly peaceful protest to protect the children. Do you understand how deep the fucking propaganda runs? Do you get it? Are you starting to track at least? But gender-affirming care in some places has developed bipartisan support, and I cannot tell you if there are any two scarier words in the English language with regard to American governmental process than bipartisan support. Because if both sides of the deep state are fucking pushing it, you know you're about to get fucked. And it's going to be a DP by nature. I'll wait for you to Google that, you guys that don't dig porn. This is how deep it runs. And currently they control the fucking narrative. It's bad enough that they've got that much control over the narrative in the first fucking place. But now we have bipartisan support for something called the Restrict Act. You guys fucking familiar with that? Anybody? Anybody want to say something about that? Everything being based on fear. This is how you motivate people. You motivated them with a public health crisis to give up any of their fucking rights. And now it's a fear. It's a fear of TikTok. I'm going to tell you something. TikTok is the fucking enemy. It's a tool of the enemy. The Chinese are using it to gather fucking intelligence on us. This is not a secret. It's not tinfoil hat. But you throw up TikTok and their parent company, and you say, this must be restricted. Okay, give us the authority to fucking do that. And Republicans and Democrats both get on board. Only one problem with the Restrict Act. You ready for this? And I'm going to read it to you verbatim. The Secretary, in consultation with relevant executive department, is authorized to and shall take action to identify, deter, disrupt, prevent, prohibit, investigate, or otherwise mitigate, including by negotiation, entering into, or imposing, enforcing any mitigation measure to address risk arising from any covered transaction by any person or with respect to any property subject to the jurisdiction of the United States that the Secretary determines poses an undue or unacceptable risk of, which is followed by damn near anything. Just like they said the Patriot Act would never be used for all the things that we said it was going to be used for, and it's wound up being used for since then, they're doing the slippery slope fallacy again. The pattern is always the same. You drive with the fear when people say, hey, if we do this based on fear, this will lead to this potential abuse, and then you cry slippery slope fallacy. This is all these people are capable of. They are bankrupt. They are vapid. They are empty. They have nothing else. Fear, 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 fear. And then they want to project that on us. That entire rant that I just went on. Oh, it's phobia. That word by itself, phobia, irrational fear. We're afraid of trans people. Why are you afraid of trans people? Again, let me remind you, I fucked quite a few. I am not the least bit afraid of trans people. I am afraid of anyone who suggests that cutting the cock off a 13-year-old boy on any premise without notifying his parents isn't morally fucking reprehensible and dangerous brutality. That's who I'm afraid of. I'm not afraid of trans people. I'm not afraid of people living according to who they feel like they are inside. I am not afraid of people, using different pronouns or, I don't care who and how people fuck. I'm not afraid of any of that. I am afraid of grown-ass human beings that are able to hear people say that a 14-year-old girl should be able to have her breasts removed without consulting her parents, know that that is evil, know that that is wrong, and still say, yes, that seems reasonable, because they don't want to be thought of as a bigot. That's who I'm afraid of. Actually, you know what? I'm not even afraid of them either. That's not fear. That's hate. I hate these people. I hate these people, and I have violent urges towards them. I want to be abundantly clear on that. I see those words escaping people's lips. I want to send them right back down their neck, chased with a big fucking massive meat hook. You're a sick motherfucker. But again, working in tandem, that Restrict Act would make it impossible for you to criticize the ruling party on any front, up to and including, are you ready for this? Gender affirming health care, right? They're going to control that as well. All of the things that were exposed by the fucking Twitter files showed us exactly who these people are. And now they can't hide behind calling it a conspiracy theory. So now they want to codify it into law. There won't be any need to work surreptitiously behind the scenes. Twitter, which they don't control anymore. Thank you, Elon. But TikTok, working directly with the FBI now. If this in effect, they don't have to worry about it. They'd be able to specifically say, we don't want this opinion expressed. We don't want this expressed. But of course, it's got bipartisan support, so it's got to be a great thing, right? Both sides love it. Both sides love it. We got to get comfortable with pushing back. Because up until now, we've been pulling punches, man. Bart, you've been pulling punches? Yeah. On a Bart level, yeah. On a Bart level. Because it was easier to just not deal with it. It was easier to disengage, which I still wholeheartedly recommend. It was easier to disengage and to try to come to any fucking rational discussion with these people. But we have reached a point culturally where it is so flagrant and so obvious that anyone who is still pushing the narrative is impossible to reach. C.S. Lewis, good people know about both good and evil. Bad people do not know about either. And they don't know. And they don't want to know. They're beyond it. There's no discussion. It's as I've always said, and has been proven time and time again. Compromise is a one-way street with these people. There's an old, somebody help me out. Feel free to look it up. Somebody wants to help me out here. There is an old historical maxim that evil preaches tolerance until it is in control. You know what? Thank you, Internet. I can just look that up. Evil preaches tolerance. There we go. Yep, here we go. Quote by Charles Caput. Evil preaches tolerance until it is dominant, and then it tries to silence good. I don't know why I didn't think to look that fucking quote up when I was. I'll tell you exactly why. Because I was running up on time and I was having technical difficulties. That was the one quote that I didn't pull down. But I'm glad that it popped into my head while I was wandering down Tangent Street. Evil preaches tolerance until it is dominant, and then it tries to silence good. I'm going to pull this down right now, in fact. Save image as. This is the beauty of it. I can do all of these things on the fly because I'm slowly but surely figuring out StreamYard. And I can load this up so you guys won't forget it. Charles Caffett is the source of the quote. Here we go. Evil preaches tolerance until it is dominant, and then it tries to silence good. Where are we if not there? Where are we if not there? What has been the fallback plan from day one with these individuals? Tolerance. Tolerance. It's all about tolerance. Tolerance, tolerance, tolerance. Tolerance for cross-dressers swinging fairy tales. And now it's men bouncing dongs in front of little kids. And if you step up and say, hey, man, that's not right, you're the bigot. Where are we if not there? Bart, you going Bible thumper on us? No, man, far from it. Far from it. But see, that's the kind of stuff that they will throw at you. Again, it's that fear. It's that pressure. You speak what you know to be the truth. You speak what you know to be good. Evil fucker preaches tolerance. And now that it is dominant, and it is dominant, literally every facet of American culture, media, social media, entertainment, academia, government, corporations working with government, big tech working directly with government to silence dissenting opinions. Why? Because if they are evil, the dissenting opinion is trying to speak some good. What do I see as good? Freedom of expression, free speech, absolutely and without equivocation. The sanctity and innocence of children. That makes me a bigot. The fact that I want, as Orwell said, the freedom to call 2 and 2 4. You pop that one up on the fly too. If liberty means anything at all, it means the right to tell people what they do not want to hear. And right now, people don't want to hear that there are any fucking moral absolutes. People don't want to hear that one particular civilization or society or culture or way of thinking is superior to any other. People don't want to hear that shit. You're going to hear it from me. You're going to hear it from me because I believe the evidence of my own eyes and ears. I believe the evidence of my own research, my own fucking knowledge of history. And I'll be goddamned if I will back down from it any further. Just in the interest of avoiding an argument. I'm in that argumentative mood these days. Am I looking for a confrontation? Yeah, probably. It's not enough to say, man, that's your opinion. Somebody makes a fucking crack on the fly. Yeah, but climate change is a myth, huh? Yeah, it is, and you're dumb. See where it goes from there. Yeah, well, I bet he's the kind of person that thinks that drag queen fashion shows are dangerous for kids. Yeah, it is. It is. And you're a sick fuck. See where it goes from there. Yeah, he's probably one of those people that think that men can't get pregnant. They can't. Biologically, they can't. Puberty blockers are totally reversible. No, they're not. You can't say that with certainty because they've never been used in that context prior to the last few years. You're a liar. See where it goes from there. It's time to stop pulling punches and start pushing back. We have nothing further to lose. and we have no further to retreat. They will not be reached. They will not be reasoned with. And there will never be an end to those demands. Orwell, the freedom to say 2 plus 2 equals 4. Everything else follows. 2 plus 2 equals 4. 2 plus 2 equals 4. Biological men cannot get pregnant. Mutilating children is not health care. I mean, unless it's a 13-year-old with leprous growths in his cock, I suppose you could make a case for it being health care. Outside of that, Sparky, going to be a pretty tall order. The one thing that they need, the one thing that they count on is our fear of speaking the truth because of being an ist or a phobe. If you know it to be the truth and you can back up your case, you should be willing to go to the wall for it. And when I say go to the wall for it, think about what that expression actually means. I'll go to the wall for it, as in my back against the wall in front of a firing squad for it, or I'll take your head through a fucking wall for it. You had better be ready to fight for that shit. We don't live in a time where we have the luxury and the convenience of thinking, well, yeah, someday it'll get to that point. It's here. It's here. They have preached tolerance. Now they are dominant, and now they are outright trying to silence good. We tell them mutilating children is a bad thing, and they scream at us and call us bigots. What stakes could be any higher? Getting back to the shooting in Nashville, Aiden, oh my God, I can't even believe this. That shit literally just popped up. That shit literally, dude, you want to talk about fucking damage control? You sick fucks. Online hoaxes. So Washington Post is now trying to say that the manifesto, they are now trying to say that the manifesto, which was shared by the National Police Department, is a conspiracy theory. Interesting. Yeah, you had to have known that was coming. Do your own digging on that. Fact of the matter is, they probably have had some disinformation stuff. Audrey Hale had a childlike obsession with staying a child. 28 years old. Kills 6 people, and they have done everything shy. They have done everything shy of saying that the Christians had it coming 2 times over. Why? Because the Christians are conservative gun rights advocates. Therefore, it serves them right that some of their own get fucking shot down. But the implication is, again, it's one of those, this isn't happening, but we're glad that it is. Oh, she didn't target the place because it was a Christian school, except she did, and it's right there in her little manifesto. His manifesto, whatever. I will continue to dead name her. I don't care. Dead name her all day now. She's dead. See how that works? Anyway. The Christians had it coming 2 times over. One, because they're conservative gun rights advocates who serves them right getting shot. But it's their fault because they didn't affirm her hard enough. They didn't provide this 28-year-old, clearly insane person with affirmation. What did I say in the opener? You read the meme. When people demand your attention, okay, and say you either support my beliefs, you support my behavior, or I'm going to kill myself. That's a shit control game, isn't it? But when it's done by a demographic, we're expected not just to overlook it, but to deify the shit. If you don't affirm me, I'm going to kill myself. Die. I will not be held hostage to your fucking perspective. If you want to sit and have a rational discussion with me, preferably with me and a room full of counselors, about what's going on in your head, that's a discussion that we can have. Compulsion is not part of my game, Sparky. I don't give a fuck who you are. Allowing people to dictate your behavior because of fear of how you might be perceived if you do not. When the stakes are as high as I have described, I want you to really ponder the full implications of that. These people are basically saying, if you don't do what I say you do, I'm going to kill myself and maybe some people that are close to you. And then have the audacity to say that we're evil for pointing out the fact that they're batshit crazy. I literally don't care anymore. I've got no regard anymore. None. If every human being who is in my circle right now were to say, Bart, this is too much, and walk away from me, I will gladly accept that as a consequence. No exceptions. I can have legitimate, rational discussions with legitimate, rational individuals. I will not play the compulsion game. I will not be held emotionally hostage. And I will not be lectured to about the nature of evil from people for whom it is acceptable to mutilate children. This is the simplest of concepts. I haven't the foggiest idea why so many people have such a hard time getting their head around this. So many otherwise intelligent people. But if I had to venture a guess, it's the strength of the propaganda. The strength and the consistency of the propaganda. Reverend Bar Purity Rings. I'm going to let you work on the design for those, buddy. I think you know what symbols I'm going to pick. Actually, I appreciate you taking me down a notch on that one, Ryan, because I'm way into rage mode, man. Way into rage mode. But beyond the trans issue, we have to be able to look at things. When you know something to be the truth, you better be ready to go to the wall for it. If you're not ready to go to the wall for an idea, maybe stifle that shit and shut your fucking mouth. The reason why I am so callous about speaking my mind without regret or apology is the fact that I am passionate about a lot of these things. I am passionate about truth. I am passionate about the freedom to speak. I am passionate about gun rights. I am passionate about living life to its fullest. I am passionate about opiate painkillers and freaky sex, But all these things that I'm passionate about are things that I've done my research on, and I'm ready to go to the wall. You want to have a debate about it? I'll debate you. You want to go Lincoln Douglas style? We can debate all day long. I'll show up in my suit. I'll even wear a bow tie for your ass. And I'll clown you publicly in front of all your college graduate friends. It's going to be painful and embarrassing. But if all you want to do is shriek at me and call me a bigot, call me a murderer, call me pick your derogatory of choice. Oh, I'm sorry. You should have told me, because I'm also down for a fight. You just need, like we've gone over before, you need to tell me what I'm showing up for so I'm dressed appropriately. Y'all need to be ready to go to the wall for this shit. Y'all need to be ready to go for the wall of this shit, and y'all need to be a little more loud, proud, and well endowed when it comes to fucking making those points. Calling evil evil sometimes begins with being able to call stupid stupid. You believe something that I know to be false and I can prove it. You're fucking dumb. I'm going to call you out on it. You decide to double down on stupid. Well, now we've gone from a debate to a fist fight. And again, I'm good with either one. Just let me know what I'm showing up for so I'm dressed appropriately. But for all of us going forward, man, I want, of all the quotes that I dropped on you, all of this, the two that I really want you to remember is where we are in the timetable. Chapit fucking tells us where we're at in the timetable. Evil preaches tolerance until it is dominant, and then it tries to silence good. Everything we talked about, they are the dominant force now. They control academia. They control big tech. They control social media. Shove it down our throats on the fucking daily, and we can't so much as lift a finger, or we are intolerant bigots. That is the dominant structure trying to silence good. That's where we're at on the timetable. But remember C.S. Lewis quote first and foremost. Good people know about both good and evil. Bad people do not know about either. Two things to take from that. Number one, realize that you are on the side of right and good. Realize that your moral structure is based in fact. It is rooted in the values of the West and of Western civilization. It is founded in a moral code and a solid fucking moral compass, that all ethics are not situational. You understand that good people sometimes do evil, but evil people don't know good or evil. It's what makes them evil. It's moral relativism. Rise above relativism. Know your code. Know what it is. Know what your principles are, and be ready to stand for them. Or take your seat at the kids' table with a warm cup of shut the fuck up and get the fuck out of the way, because the adults, we showed up for a little bit of knuckles. And if you ain't ready, you're not an asset, you're a liability. Right now, liabilities are not something that we have the luxury to afford anymore. I am the Reverend. That is the gospel. Man, I really appreciate y'all being here today. Going through all the stuff with the echoes and the feedback. Apologize for all the fucking production difficulties, man. Thanks for your patience. We got through it. Hopefully some of the people that thought they missed it, they're fucking sitting around doing something else. They catch the replay a little bit later. If I miss y'all, very sorry about that. But I appreciate all of the continued support. I'm going to pass that digital collection plate around. Anybody who wants to throw me a little bit of coin, that would be fantastic. I'm on PayPal. I'm on Cash App. I'm on Venmo. I'm on all that good shit. I'm on Zelle. All that stuff. Facebook Pay, yada, yada, yada. But if you can't, I totally get that. We are still, regrettably, in a Biden economy and a Biden regime and all the things that come with it. I wish I had another hour, because there's plenty more that I wanted to cover. But anyway, you guys already know. If you guys can't throw me any coin, here's what you can do. If you got your own social media presence, maybe bump up the program a little bit. Tell some other people about it on your Facebook feed, your Twitter account. Hey, man, there's this fat, toothless cripple. He's a crane operator with some opinions. He rants and raves for a couple hours every Sunday. He's like-minded, kindred spirit. You might want to check it out. Give it a shot, man. Give it a shot. Spread it out, man. Get some subscriber numbers up, like Roman was just saying. Yes, I appreciate that. Thank you, thank you. Whatever you can do, man. Spread the word, spread the gospel, get that reach out there, talk to people about it. And here's what you can do. All of those things are beyond you. Kind word every now and then is great, but here's what you can do for me by doing something for yourselves. My man Mike Stone, live the three, baby. Hashtag live the three. What am I talking about the three? I'm talking about the three prime directives. They will try to bury you with the noise. The signal to noise ratio is all fucked up. Try to bury you with the noise, man. You got to be that signal to drive and break through the noise. They will try to bury you with the darkness. They will try to emasculate you, demoralize you, dehumanize you with the darkness. You have got to be that light that breaks through the darkness, gets through. But above and beyond anything else, you got to be that strength, man. In a world full of weakness, where everything is weakness, and all that evil that we were talking about today is all rooted in fear. And what is fear rooted in? Fear is rooted in weakness. You got to be that strength, man. And that is the iron rule. It is the most important directive, because without that strength, and I'm talking about here, and I'm talking about here, and here, without the strength, you will not have the punch to break that signal through the noise. You will not have the strength to bear that light through the darkness. So above and beyond anything else, the iron rule, strength in a world full of weakness. All my reverence rangers, all my prophets of doom, my sinner sisters, I appreciate you coming out. Thank you very much for sticking through all the production problems we had early on, man, and for hanging out for the rant. I love y'all, man. Love y'all. You guys are fantastic. Make me feel a lot less like a crazy old man, a lone voice in the wilderness. We will see you next Sunday, boys and girls. I love you. I'm the Reverend. That is the gospel. I'm out. Thanks for being here, guys. Peace.